Good afternoon, everybody. On a 54-degree, partly cloudy afternoon here at Cascade High School, the Lake Stevens Vikings played the 14th game of the 2019 varsity baseball season as they look to even the series against the Cascade Bruins. My name is Payne Patchett. You are listening to Lake Stevens Vikings varsity baseball. Now, there's a couple of things I need to clarify from what I said in the last broadcast. The first one is that the game was not suspended in the baseball game at Lake Stevens High School. Actually, what happened was that because it ended after 6 innings, and because it ended after 5 p.m., what state rules say that it's an official game, which meant that Brock Gillis has thrown a 6-inning no-hitter, striking out 11 batters against the Lake Stevens Vikings back at Lake Stevens High School. And the Vikings are not playing at the high school for the second conference game. They are actually going to be playing here, as at the end of the day, just both conference games, they just switched days. Now for today, the Lake Stevens Vikings will be starting up Tate Brust, who had a pretty solid first ever varsity start in his last game against the Kamiak Knights, throwing 3 innings, allowing a pair of earned runs, and got the win to bring him up to a 1-0 record. As they'll face off against the Cascade Bruins team, who is now tied for first place in the Westco Conference with the Monroe Bearcats, who were the only other game that played yesterday as they beat the Mariner Marauders by the final score of 7-0. When we come back, it'll be the top of the first inning as Lake Stevens look to try to get on the board against the Cascade Bruins. And we are now back in the top of the first inning here from Cascade High School. The starting pitcher for the Bruins is the center fielder, number 7, Jaden Talt. Making his first start of the year, he'll face off against Tanner Lind, the left fielder. First pitch low in the dirt for a ball 1. Jaden Talt, his 4th game of the year in his first start. 1 win, no losses, an ERA of 0. And has only thrown 5 1/3 innings, allowing an unearned run, 1-0. Outside, ball 2. He's allowed 2 hits, an unearned run, no walks, and struck out 7 batters in 5 1/3. Once again, making his first start against the left fielder, Tanner Lind. 2 balls, no strikes. Talt getting the sign from Josh Murphy. Strike 1 looking. And the first 3 hitters for the 7 and 6 Lake Stevens Vikings. Tanner Lind, the left fielder, Hunter Zalasko, the shortstop, and Theron Perkins, the third baseman, going back to normal. Away from the lineup yesterday. The 2-1. Strike 2 looking. And the lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings, as told by manager Josh White, the first 3 hitters, Lynn, Zalasko, and Perkins. In the middle of the order, it is Trey Long, the right fielder, and Aaron Lampinen as the designated hitter in the 5 spot. The 2-2. Check swing. Full count. Ball goes outside. The 6th spot goes to the starting pitcher, Tate Brust, once again making his second start of the year. At the 7th spot is the second baseman, Ethan Jansen. At the 8th spot, first baseman, Bailey Corley. The payoff pitch, foul ball. It goes over the fence right next to the Cascade dugout and over the Cascade batting cages, which are behind the Cascade bleachers along the third base line. Count stays full. At the 8th spot is Bailey Corley. At the 9th spot is the starting catcher, Tommy Lindgren. Aaron Lampinen will be hitting for the center fielder, Cameron Austin. Talt, the payoff pitch. Strike 3 called. Talt gets Lind looking for the first out of the top of the first. Brings up the shortstop, Hunter Zalasko. Entering this game, a .308 batting average, 8 for 26 with 4 doubles and 6 RBIs. He has scored 14 runs, has been walked 10 times, struck out 4 times, and has been hit a team-high 9 times. The first pitch by Talt. Foul chopper. His defense right in front of the Lake Stevens bleachers. Count starts at 0-1. The Cascade defensive positions, as told by manager David Benson, on the mound is Jaden Talt, and behind the plate is once again Josh Murphy. At third base is Brock Gillis, who threw the 6-inning no-hitter yesterday, and the shortstop once again is Ben Hansen. This one a hard hit shot. This one going in the right center. That will fall for a base hit right in front of the right fielder, Zaya Ackles. And Hunter Zalasko will get a 1-out single to start the top of the first. Here is Theron Perkins, the third baseman. He was the only shining light in that Brock Gillis no-hitter yesterday. He got hit twice. He's been hit a total of 3 times this year. Has a .442 average with 7 doubles, 2 triples, and has a team-high 17 RBIs. He had the only RBI for the Vikings in that game. First pitch, inside, ball 1. So at third base is Brock Gillis. Shortstop is Ben Hansen. Second base is Jacob Sesso. And at first base is Joe McBride, who was originally going to play first in the first game when the game was originally here, but did not arrive on the bus to the game yesterday. The 1-0 foul ball. goes over the fence and behind the Lake Stevens bleachers. On the outfield, at left field is Brody Larson. Center field is Jackson Ramstead. And at left is Zaya Ackles. Ramstead moving from right to center. Zaya Ackles moving from left to right. The 1-1. Outside, ball 2. And Brody Larson moving from second base to right field. Joe McBride entering in the first as Jacob Sesso moves from first to second. 2 balls, 1 strike. Talt the pitch. Fly ball, that is out for a foul. Evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Hunter Zalasko, that 1-out single, the first hit for the Lake Stevens Vikings in this series, as they did not get one in the last game. 2-2. Swung on, swing, and a miss, strike 3. And Jaden Talt gets Theron Perkins swinging for the second out. Here is the right fielder, Trey Long. And Trey, a .222 average, 8 of 36, 7 for 8 in stolen bases with 4 doubles and a triple. Scored 3 runs, has been walked twice, and has struck out 5 times. And Jaden, first pitch. Chopper, this one going to the shortstop Hansen, who tries tossing it to the second baseman and is able to hold on to the ball to get a fielder's choice. The shortstop, Ben Hansen, was trying to make a play running towards right field. He's able to toss it to the second baseman, Jacob Sesso, in time to get the 3rd out in the top of the first. So it is no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Lake Stevens, nothing. Cascade coming up as we go into the bottom of the first. Tate Bruss once again on the mound for the 3rd time this year in his 2nd start of the season, as he'll face off against his counterpart Jaden Talt, the left fielder Brody Larson, and the second baseman Jacob Sesso. No score at the bottom of the 1st inning. And we are now back in the bottom of the 1st inning. Jaden Talt leaving the Vikings scoreless after 1. Now he's at the plate looking to start something for the Bruins, leading off against Tate Bruss, who is pitching in his 3rd game this year. He is 1 win and no losses, an ERA of 3.5 against Jaden Talt with a .357 batting average. First pitch, strike 1 looking. Tate will face off against the pitcher Jaden Talt, the left fielder Brody Larson, and the second baseman Jacob Sesso. Count starts at 0-1. Tate getting the sign from Lindgren. The pitch in the dirt. He evens the count at 1-1. And the lineup for the 9-4 Cascade Bruins and 6-1 in conference play, tied for first with the Monroe Bearcats, as told by manager David Benson. And the first 3 hitters, Talt, Larson, and Sesso. The 1-1 upstairs, ball 2. In the middle of the order will be the 3rd baseman Brock Gillis, the first baseman Joe McBride, who will be making his first appearance against the Vikings this year, and the shortstop Ben Hansen. 2 balls, 1 strike. And a strike 2 looking, evens the count at 2-2 in the 7, 8, and 9 hitters. The center fielder Jackson Ramstead, the catcher Josh Murphy, and the right fielder Zaya Ackles. I said yesterday's game that his name was Zane Ackles, but it is Z-A-I-A. The 2-2 hard hit shot going in the left. Tanner going back, and he makes a diving catch to start the inning. What a diving play by Tanner Lynn to start the bottom of the 1st. He had to run right near the foul line to make that one, and what a way to start off the bottom of the 1st. For the Lake Stevens Vikings, brings up the left fielder Brody Larson. Enters the game with a .333 batting average, 12 runs and 5 RBIs, 3 doubles, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts. It has been hit a team high 5 times. First pitch, swing, and a miss, strike 1. The reserves for the Cascade Bruins, Dawson Fang, who was a pinch runner in yesterday's game, was a critical part in the Bruins' 6 runs. Bryson Durnell, Billy Burgess, Brady Brown, Zach Block, and Logan Brent. And the 0-1 in the dirt, count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. The defensive positions for the Lake Stevens Vikings, as told by manager Josh White on the mound. Tate Bruss behind the plate is Tommy Lindgren. Count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Wind up, Tate the pitch. Low ball 2. The infield for the Vikings, Theron Perkins, the 3rd baseman, Hunter Zalasko, the shortstop, the second baseman Ethan Jansen, and at first base is Bailey Corley. On the outfield, Tanner Lind at left, Cameron Ossett at center, and Trey Long at right. The 2-1. And a strike, 2 looking. Count once again even at 2-2. The reserves for the Lake Stevens Vikings, Devin McWaters, Colton Hogel, Xander Fogel, and Caden Pattison. As manager Josh White said before yesterday's game that they're going to rely on those 14 guys. This one a ground ball to the shortstop, Zelasco. Quick throw to Bailey Corley at air mails. Bailey Corley as Larson collides into Bailey at the first base bag. The Bruins will have a base runner as there'll be a timeout. It'll be an error on Zelasco as his throw airmails the first baseman Bailey Corley. When Bailey was going down, he collided with the runner Brody Larson. And now he is signaling that he is all right. Brings up the number 3 hitter, Jacob Sesso. 371 batting average, 13 of 35 this year with 13 RBIs. And has hit a team-high 6 doubles. Along with 7 walks, 6 strikeouts. Has been hit twice. Bruins with their first runner on. And Tate, first pitch. Outside, ball 1. Now, the only other game that was played yesterday in the middle of the rain, first the game between Jackson and Glacier Peak was rescheduled to Monday, April 15th. So their week is basically done in the dirt, ball 2. Count now 2 balls and no strikes. So the only other game that played was between the Monroe Bearcats and the Mariner Marauders in a game that was originally thought to be postponed or possibly another forfeit by the Marauders, but they played and the Bearcats won 7-0, 2-0, ball 3. And so entering today, Cascade and Monroe both with identical 6-1 conference records. Currently both hold the only 2 first-round bye seeds in the West King tournament. Throw to first, not in time. And the 3-0. Low for a ball 4. Tate Bruss walks Jacob Sesso on 4 pitches. And the Bruins have runners on first and second with 1 out for Brock Gillis, the third baseman. A 200 batting average, 6 for 30. He had a 185 batting average yesterday. Timeout by the Vikings. Tommy Lindgren walking up to the mound to talk to Tate Bruss. Gillis 1 for 1 on stolen bases, 6 runs, 7 RBIs. Has a 2-bagger and 3-bagger. Has been walked 9 times and has struck out 6 times. It's also coming off one of its best performances on the mound. Yesterday it was 6 innings, no hits, 11 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And a 6-1 Cascade win over the Vikings at Lake Stevens High School. Tate stepping off, looking at second. And Tate, the first pitch, swung on. This one going right near foul territory. Tommy Lindgren calling for it right near home plate. Makes the catch for the second out. Runners stay at first and second. Brings up the first baseman, number 11, Joe McBride. His first appearance with the Bruins since here on Tuesday against the Jackson Timberwolves. He threw 6 2/3 against Jackson in a 5-1 Cascade win. He got the win, moving him up to 3-0. He was originally going to play in the first game against the Vikings when the first scheduled game was here, but then it was rescheduled to the high school, played yesterday. First pitch, strike 1, looking to McBride. And he didn't arrive on the bus to the first game. And the 0-1 in the dirt. Count is even, 1 ball and 1 strike. And Tate, the 1-1. And a strike two. Tate ahead of the count with runners on first and second base. Larson at second. Got on base on the error by Hunters Alasko and then collided into the first baseman Bailey Corley and later said that he was fine afterwards. He's currently at second, and then Jacob Sesso has walked on 4 pitches. And the next batter, the 1-2, fly ball, foul. So for the first time since Tuesday, we are now back to our usual Wesco Conference schedule instead of having games being moved due to the recent weather around the conference. 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. And that will end the first inning. No runs on no hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. Cascade and Lake Stevens scoreless after 1. Jaden Talt going back to the mound in the top of the second, as it'll be Aaron Lampinen, the designated hitter, Tate Brust, and Ethan Jansen. He will come up to the plate in the top of the second. No score between the Vikings and the Bruins. And we are now back into the top of the second inning. No score between the Vikings and the Cascade Bruins as the number 5 hitter, designated hitter number 12, Aaron Lampinen, will walk up to the plate for the first time this afternoon against Jaden Talt, who has allowed a base hit and struck out 2 batters in the process. First pitch from Talt, and a foul ball hits the fence behind home plate. Count starts at 0-1. And Talt will face off against Aaron Lampinen, his pitching counterpart Tate Brust in the 6th spot, and the second baseman Ethan Jansen at the 7 hole. And the 0-1, low, count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. And Aaron entering this game, .263 batting average, 10 of 38, 5 for 5 in stolen bases with 2 two-baggers. And the 1-1 by Talt. And strike 2 looking to Lampinen, and he also has 6 runs scored. Has been walked 4 times, struck out 7 times, and has been hit 3 times as well. 1 ball and 2 strike count. Jaden Talt getting the sign from Josh Murphy. Wind up in the pitch. Check swing. Did he go? He did not count as even at 2-2. Talt still ahead of the count, getting the sign from Murphy, outside full. For the second straight inning, Jaden Talt starting off the inning with a full count against the first batter that he will face. He did it against Tanner Lind, was able to strike him out looking. I'll see what happens here. Payoff pitch. Upstairs, nope, strike 3 called. The same result as the first inning. That'll be the 3rd strikeout of the afternoon for Talt. Here is Tate Brust, the pitcher, and the number 6 hitter. Tate entered this game going with a .174 batting average, 4 for 23. 3 of those hits were doubles. First pitch, a strike 1 looking. Tate has also scored 1 run, has been struck out once, and has been hit once. And Jaden, the 0-1, fly ball. That one is out foul. Count is 0-2. Talt ahead of the count to start the at-bat. 0-2 in the dirt, and it will hit Tate Brust on the leg, and he will walk to first. It's the second time this year that Tate has been hit. It brings up the second baseman, Ethan Jansen. The Cascade Bruins last year, they had a really great season last year. Finished with 17 wins and 5 losses. Ended up getting the Wesco 4A regular season title last year. With a 12-2 record, they started play in the Wesco semifinals, where because they were in the top 2 seeds that they would be in the double elimination part of the bracket, they started play here at Cascade High School in this very same situation against the Lake Stevens Vikings. The Bruins would win that game 4-2 from Brock Gillis. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1 to Ethan Jansen. So they would beat the Lake Stevens Vikings. It was Brett Gillis' final winning start. They would play in the Wesco title game, in which they lost 3-0 to the Jackson Timberwolves, and Case Matter, who was on the mound for them, in Everett Memorial. The 0-1 foul ball, count 0-2. And then they would play in the second place game, the Wesco second place game at Everett Memorial Stadium just a couple days after the championship. They played against Mount Vernon, who ended the Lake Stevens Vikings season just earlier before the Wesco championship by a final score of 12-7 against the Vikings. And the Bruins would lose to Mount Vernon by the score of 5-2, giving the Bulldogs their first state berth since moving up to 4A. Timeout by Ethan. They also lost a number of players as well. A number of starters, such as Dakota Talt, who is the older brother of Jaden Talt, who is currently on the mound. He didn't start as much as Jaden, but was also a big contributor as well. Other players include Brett Gillis, who was the Herald Baseball Player of the Year last year. The 0-2 upstairs, ball one. As well as Carson Metcalf, a very solid second baseman and pitcher. Stephen Maynard, also a very solid infielder as well. Gatlin Griffith, Drew Swartz, a very good outfielder, and Nicholas Klemp, one of the most efficient and solid catchers in the Wesco Conference in recent years, played the last few years. And they throw to first. It gets past the first baseman, Joe McBride, as Tate slides into second. Or my mistake, Devin McWaters, who's pinch running for Tate Brust. He slides into second as the ball gets away from the first baseman, Joe McBride. Jaden Tulches threw past him. So it'll be an error, as if McBride would have made the play, McWaters most likely would have been run down. The Vikings now with a run in scoring position for the first time this afternoon. 1-2, and the dirt count is even at 2-2. Other players that the Bruins lost last year, Zach Gill, who was mainly seen as an outfielder and designated hitter, and a pretty decent one at that. Zach Holsopple and Sam Barnes, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Talt, check swing, strike 3 called. Jaden Talt gets Ethan Jansen looking at his strikeout number 4. And now bring up Bailey Corley, the first baseman, entering this game going 3 for 8 with a .375 batting average. Is the highlight of his season being the solo home run against the Meadowdale Mavericks. 2 runs, has been walked 1 time, has been struck out once, and has been hit twice. First pitch swing and a missed, strike 1. And in addition to Brett Gillis being named the Herald Baseball Player of the Year, there were 3 Cascade Bruins that were named in the Herald All-Wesco second team for the 4A conference. Brock Gillis is a pitcher, Jacob Sessa was an infielder, and Jaden Talt as an outfielder. And Jaden Talt steps off as the shortstop, Ben Hansen, looks to go towards second. Throw to second is not in time to get McWaters. He throws to the shortstop, Ben Hansen. And compared to the other Wesco 4A teams that the Vikings have played so far, Jackson and Monroe, Cascade, their meetings with the Vikings have been actually pretty recent, starting in 2014. Timeout by Bailey. Count stays at no balls and 1 strike. It started in 2014 when the Bruins faced off against the Vikings in the Wesco championship game at Everett Memorial Stadium. It was KJ Brady who ended up playing for the Washington Huskies baseball team against Taylor Shea, who was now their JV coach. The 0-1 pitch, swing and a missed, strike 2. And Shea, it's currently with the junior varsity team as they are over at Lake Stevens High School. And then in 2015, that is when they started playing in the same conference together. Cascade in 2014, they had a really good team that year. They ended up going to the state quarterfinals, losing to Woodinville in the 0-2. And a foul chopper, Bailey getting a piece of it. And that was also the last time that, my mistake, that is not the last time the Cascade Bruins went to the state tournament. The last time was in 2015 when the Bruins beat the Mount Vernon Bulldogs in the second place game. And in 2015, that was when they were in the same conference for the first time. And the Vikings split that series. The 0-2, another foul ball. Bailey getting a piece of it as it bounces off the catcher's mask of the catcher, Josh Murphy. And 2015, it started with an appearance right here at Cascade High School. Timeout by Cascade. Murphy going to the mound to talk to Jaden Salt. In 2015, it was the Bruins beating the Vikings by the score of 8-5. Where the Vikings rallied late but could not get it. And then at Lake Stevens High School, the Vikings won 10-0, ironically enough, on a 6-inning no-hitter by Sam Pizer, who was a senior at the time. And then in 2016, they split once again with appearances at home in the high school. The 1-2, a chopper to Hansen, the shortstop, who throws to McBride at first. It is in time to end the top of the second inning. It is no runs on no hits, no errors, and one runner left on. It still stays at 0-0 as Tate Bruss walks back to the mound. He'll face off against the 6, 7, and 8 hitters of Ben Hansen, Jackson Ramstead, and Josh Murphy. And we are now back in the bottom of the second inning. No score between Cascade and Lake Stevens. Tate Bruss throwing 20 pitches in the bottom of the first. He'll face off against the shortstop, Ben Hansen, to start things off. First pitch, ball 1. 9 balls and 11 strikes against 5 batters. Tate will face off against the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, the shortstop, Ben Hansen, center fielder, Jackson Ramstead, and the catcher, Josh Murphy, the 1-0. And a strike one looking. And Tate, the 1-1, and a foul ball, count 1-2. So it hits the fence. And Ben Hansen, a 194 batting average, 7 for 36, 6 runs, 6 RBIs, 2 triples, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Has been hit twice and is currently 3 for 3 on the base pass this year. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tate, the windup in the pitch. In the dirt, even count, 2-2. And so in 2016 at Lake Stevens, the Vikings won 3-2. Here at Cascade, the Bruins won 11-3. And another foul ball. Hansen getting the piece of it. Count stays at 2-2. And then at 2017, the same thing happened. Lake Stevens beating Cascade on the road 1-0 on a complete game shutout by Connor Olmstead. And then here at Lake Stevens High School, the Bruins won by the score of 7-3. They rallied late. The 2-2. That is a fly ball. That is out foul. Count stays at 2-2. And then in 2018, they faced off not only twice in the regular season, but also in the postseason. Ball 3, full count. And nope, they are saying that Tate Bruss hit Ben Hansen as the ball goes inside. The Bruins have a base runner to start the inning. They'll bring up the center fielder, Jackson Ramstead. A 281 average, 9 for 32, 6 runs, 5 RBIs. As a double to his name, has been walked once and has struck out 13 times. That may be the key here in this at-bat. And Tate, the throw to first. Does he get him in time? No, he does not. A very close play at first as Hansen shuffled a little bit before going back to the first base bag. And Tate, the first pitch, tries bunting for it. Foul as it rolls towards the Lake Stevens dugout. Count starts at 0-1. Count at no balls and 1 strikes. Ben Hansen at first. And Tate the pitch. Swung on, a hard hit ball. This one going into right field. Trey Long going back. He is looking up and he will make the catch for the first out in the bottom of the second. Trey moving right near the right field line to make that one, and he'll Bring us to the first out. Here is the starting catcher, Josh Murphy. A .294 average, 10 for 34, 11 runs, 3 RBIs, a double. Has been walked 4 times and struck out twice. And Tate, first pitch, low in the dirt, ball 1. And a timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White going to talk to Tate, as well as Tommy Lindgren, who's also walking up to the mound as well. Cascade once again with a base runner at first base. As Tate threw 2 1/3, currently sitting at 30 pitches. And the Vikings, their next meeting, their next game will be on Tuesday, April 16th. They'll play back-to-back road games with this game, as they'll play up north at Sherman Anderson Field at Mount Vernon. They'll take on the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, who have also been struggling a little bit in these past few games as well. And Mount Vernon with one of the best players in Skagit County up there in Riley Olmsted, who has been a 4-year starter for the Bulldogs. The head coach, Tony Wolden, back when he first got up as a freshman, saying that he was a once-in-a-generation player, and so far he has shown that. Count at 1 ball and no strikes. Tate Bruss, city catcher Josh Murphy. And Tate, the 1-0. Runner goes. Throw to second. Is it in time? It is not in time, as Ben Hansen gets his 4th stolen base of the year. Count now 2-0. And the 2-0. A 1-hopper as the ball gets away from Lindgren. Now Ben Hansen goes to third. And now Cascade, their first run 90 feet away. Count at 3-0. Tate the pitch. Strike 1 right down the middle. So not only does Tate have to try and get through the 8-hitter, 3-1. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. Count is full. So not only does Tate have to go through the 8-hitter, who may or may not be crucial in the getting Cascade's first run of the game, they also got to get through the 9-hitter, Zaya Ackles, who has a .400 batting average, even though he hasn't played in every game this year. Payoff pitch. That is a ball 4 inside. And Cascade has runners on the corners. It'll be a pinch runner for Josh Murphy, as it'll be number 12, Bryson Durnell, who will pinch run for Murphy. Yesterday it was Dawson Feng who pinch ran for the catcher. As now we have the right fielder, number 1, Zaya Ackles. A .400 average, 5 runs, 2 RBIs. Has a chance to get 3 here. Has walked once and has been struck out 3 times. And Tate, the first pitch, in the dirt, ball 1. And Tate, the 1-0. And a strike 1 looking. Count is now even 1-1. And Ackles, he was also the 9-hitter in yesterday's game against the Vikings, where he went 1 for 3 with a bloop double that went over the head of the first baseman, Tate Bruss, and landed in fair territory right near the right field line. He would later score. In that 4-run inning Tate, the 1-1. Check swing. Throw to third. Is it in time? It is not. But Bryson Durnell will go to second, as Bryson will get a stolen base. As the count's now 1-2. Now Ackles with a chance to get a couple runs in. And Tate, the 1-2. In the dirt. Runners stay. Count is even 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Come on, Tate, you got it, bud.
Cascade with 1 out in the second inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tate the pitch. And strike 3 called, and Tate Brust gets Zaya Ackles looking, his second strikeout of the afternoon, and it's a huge out here with runners on second and third. It brings us to the top of the order for the second time around. Jaden Talt, the pitcher, hit a fly ball to the left fielder Tanner Lynn with a great diving play by Tanner to start the bottom of the first. And looking at his resume entering today, he has a chance to maybe come in and get a couple runs off the board. First pitch, 1 hopper to Tommy. Count is 1-0 again. Now 13 for 38, 16 runs. He has 12 RBIs, which is tied for second on the team. Jacob Sesso is the most with 13. He is tied with Joe McBride for 12 on the year, with 4 doubles, a triple, and a home run. And the 1-0 upstairs, ball 2. He has been walked as well 14 times this year. He's also struck out 6 times. Runners stay on second and third, and it's Hanson at third and Durnell at second, ball 3. And Tate the 3-0 in the dirt, ball 4. Bases are loaded with 2 outs. Tate Brust either with a chance to get out of the inning, or Cascade with a chance to get a couple runs on the board. And Jaden Talt now signaling for a pinch runner, as he was wondering if he was going to get replaced. Now he will. It'll be Brady Brown who will pinch run for Talt. Now bring up Brody Larson, 11 for 33. As his batting average stays the same, he got on base on an error by the shortstop Hunter Zelasco and was stranded at second base. And Tate, the first pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. And Larson, 12 runs, again 5 RBIs, 3 doubles. Has been hit a team high 5 times. Count no balls, 1 strike. Tate, the windup in the pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. And back in the first inning, it was a check swing ground ball. And now Tate so far with the advantage on the left fielder. No balls, 2 strikes, getting the sign from Lindgren, the pitch, and it's in the dirt. Ball gets away from Tommy as a run will score on the wild pitch. Cascade with an early 1-0 lead. The second wild pitch for Tate Brust. As Hanson will score from third, Murphy will go to third base, and my mistake, not Jaden Talt, Brady Brown will go to second. Cascade with their first run on the board on a wild pitch by Tate Brust. Count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the 1-2 outside. Count is even again, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Tate the 2-2. Ground ball straight to Theron. It gets under the glove of Theron. It gets past Alaska. 1 run's going to score. 2 are going to come in. Brady Brown comes in. 2 more runs will score. It'll be an error on the third baseman, Theron Perkins, as the ball got under his glove. The score now, Cascade 3, Lake Stevens nothing. As Jacob Sesso comes up to the plate. And the first pitch, runner goes. Tommy, the throw to second, is it in time? It is not. As Brody Larson will get stolen base, number 10 on the year. As that first pitch will be a called strike, 0-1. Now with another run in scoring position, the 0-1 fly ball, that's playable. This is being called by the second baseman, Ethan Jansen, pushing away Bailey Corley, who drops the ball, and a run will score. It's another error and another run for Cascade. Ethan Jansen was waving off Bailey Corley. And another run will score. The score is now 4-0. Cascade over Lake Stevens. They'll bring up Brock Gillis on a foul pop out to Tommy. And Tate, the first pitch, strike 1 looking. And Tate stepping off, looking at first towards Sesso. And Tate, the 0-1, runner goes. Tommy, the throw to second, is it in time? It is not. As the ball will get to center field, it will roll into center field. Sesso will go to third. A stolen base to second. And the ball got past both the second baseman Jansen and the shortstop Zelasco. And it'll be the third error of the inning for the Vikings, as the count evens at 1-1. And Cascade with another base runner 90 feet away. The 1-1 pitch by Tate. Upstairs, ball 2. And the 2-1, check swing, ball 3 in the dirt. Cascade getting 4 runs in the bottom of the second, all without getting a base hit. And the 3-1, fly ball, that one looks like playable, right in foul territory. Bailey Corley trying to make the catch as he runs in the foul territory. Count is full now at 3-2. Count is now full with 2 outs. Tate Bruss, the payoff pitch. And a ball 4. As there are now runners on the corners, it is the 4th walk for Tate Bruss, 3rd one in this inning. There'll be a timeout for Lake Stevens. Josh White going to talk to Tate and Tommy again as Joe McBride walks out to the plate. He struck out on a 1-2 count to end the first. As Tate is currently sitting on 57 pitches in an inning and 2/3. And there will be another pinch runner, if I remember correctly, for Brock. But right now there's going to be a pitching change. Tate Brust is done for the afternoon. 57 pitches, throwing an inning and 2/3. Currently with allowing 4 runs, 3 of them being unearned. It'll be Tanner Lind who will go up to the plate here in the bottom of the second inning. The score is Cascade 4, Lake Stevens nothing. As we'll take a quick break here from Cascade High School. And we are now back into the bottom of the second inning. Cascade taking advantage of 3 Lake Stevens errors to take a 4-0 lead as Tate Bruss is taken out early with an inning and 2/3. Currently online for the loss. No hits. Currently 1 earned run out of 4. Leaving runners on the corners. He has walked 4 batters and struck out 2. Currently online for a .500 record of 1-1. And Josh White taking Tanner Lind out of left field. Currently Caden Pattison is playing at left as Tanner will face off. And Tanner looking at second is Brock Gillis. Tries to get him for a rundown. Throw to second is not in time as Gillis will get a stolen base. As Sessa will take advantage of the play at second and will score. The score is now 5-0. It'll be the first, my mistake, the second stolen base for Sesso as he will steal home, and Brock Gillis will get his second stolen base as he will now have second as Tanner has yet to throw a pitch against Joe McBride, the first baseman. Tanner Lind currently pitching in his 4th game, 1 win and 1 loss, an ERA of 1.71. He's coming off as the losing pitcher in relief earlier this week against the Kamiak Knights, in which he pitched into the 10th inning. First pitch, strike 1 looking to McBride. So currently it is 5 runs, although I am positive that it'll just stay as 1 earned run for Tate Bruss. And Tanner Lind, 8 2/3 innings, allowing 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He has walked 3 batters and struck out 10, the 0-1. Check swing, that is a ball 1, as McBride is the 9th batter of the second inning. The 1-1, Tanner, strike 2. Brock Gillis at second base, 1-2 by Tanner. And a strike 3 called that will end the second inning as McBride strikes out again. It'll be 5 runs on no hits, 3 errors, and 1 runner left on. Cascade, they have yet to have a base hit, but they have scored 5 runs in the bottom of the second inning. Brings us down to the top of the third. Jaden Talt back on the mound. He has thrown 34 pitches through 2 innings. He'll face off against the 9-1-2 hitters, the catcher Tommy Lindgren. And then back to the top of the order with the now pitcher Tanner Lind and the shortstop Hunter Zalasco as the Vikings look to make something out of this 5-0 deficit against the Cascade Bruins. And we are now back in the top of the third inning. Lake Stevens trying to recover from a 5-0 deficit after the Bruins scored on them. And even somehow they have no base hits. First pitch from Jaden Talt to Tommy Lindgren as a strike 1 looking here in the top of the third. Jaden Talt currently online for the win now. Will face off against the 9-1-2 hitters Tommy Lindgren, Tanner Lind, and Hunter Zalasco. The windup in the 0-1. In the dirt, ball gets away from the catcher Josh Murphy, evens the count at 1-1. And Tommy Lindgren entering this game a .200 batting average, 5 for 25, 2 RBIs. Has been walked 5 times, has been hit once, and has struck out 6 times. And the windup, the 1-1. Upstairs, strike two. Jaden Talt currently sitting at 4 strikeouts on the afternoon. And the 1-2 pitch. Ground ball, this one going to the second baseman, Sesso. Throws to first to McBride. It is in time for the first out in the top of the third inning. Here is Tanner Lynn, the now pitcher, who struck out looking on a full count to start the game back in the top of the first inning. And Talt first pitch, swing and a miss, strike one. And Talt the 0-1, tries bunting for it, count is 0-2. As Tanner didn't have the time to lean in to even attempt to bunt. Count is 0-2, wind up pitch. Upstairs, ball one.
Come on now. One, two, three. Go, baby.
And the 1-2, and a foul ground ball that falls right next to the Cascade dugout. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jaden Talt last season on the mound, he pitched in 7 games, was 2-0 with an ERA of 1.7. The 1-2 pitch upstairs, count is even. He threw for 12 1/3 innings, allowing 12 hits, 3 earned runs. He walked 5 batters and struck out 9. He also got 3 saves in the process last year. This year he has 1 save. The 2-2 inside, count is full at 3-2. Second straight at bat against Tanner. And the 3rd time this afternoon for Jaden against the Vikings. Jaden shaking off some signs from Josh Murphy. And the windup and the payoff, and a foul chopper going to the third base coach for Lake Stevens, Jan Novak. As Tanner will attempt to pitch his first full inning on the mound. Will face off against the 6, 7, and 8 hitters Ben Hansen, Jackson Ramstead, and Josh Murphy. Count stays full, wind up the pitch. And another foul, opposite field foul ball. That'll go past the left field line. Count stays full at 3-2. Currently 8 pitches in this at bat. And here is number 9, the windup and the payoff. Outside, ball 4. Tanner wins the battle as he will go to base. It'll be the 10th time this year that he has been walked, and he'll bring up Hunter Zalasko, who has the only base hit, not only for the Vikings, but surprisingly, considering Cascade is up 5-0 in this game. Hunter entering this game with 308 average. Now 9 for 27. Pitch, tries bunting for it, ball 1. Hunter gets the bat out just in time.
Let's go, Hunt. Hey, let's go, kid. Let's get one up right here.
And the 1-0, a check swing foul ball that falls over the Cascade dugout. Or my mistake, over the Lake Stevens dugout over the first base line. Count stays even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Talt in the stretch, looking over at first, to pitch. And a ground ball. This one off the pitcher's mound to the second baseman, Sesso. Throw to first is not in time as he tosses it to the shortstop, Ben Hansen, first. It looked like it would have been a routine double play, but the ball got off of the pitcher's mound and gets into the glove of the second baseman, Jacob Sesso, who drops it and then tosses it to the shortstop, Ben Hansen, to get Tanner out And the throw to first to Joe McBride is not in time. Hunter Zalasko is safe at first. And it'll bring up Theron Perkins, who struck out swinging on a 2-2 count for the second out of the top of the first. First pitch. Gets past the catcher Murphy. Hunter Zalasko going to second. As the Vikings have a runner in scoring position.
Come on, Six. Find something, dude. Come on, Theron. Let's go, kid. Just do it. Come on, Six.
And the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike one.
Come on, Theron. Let's go. Amazing. Come on, Theron. Let's go, Six. Hey, let's go, baby. Peace one. You got it. Come on, Theron. Come on, Theron. Let's go, kid. Come on, baby.
Oh, my mistake. I guess the Mariner-Monroe games are both forfeited, with both scores being Monroe 7, Mariner nothing. This one, a bunt down the third baseline. And the pitcher trying to pick it up. He cannot get it. And Theron Perkins on a 1-1 count, a bunt single. And it puts runners on the corners, picked up by the pitcher Jaden Tull, almost picked up by Brock Gillis. It moves Hunter to third, and it brings up Trey Long, who hit into a fielder's choice. That got Hunter Zalasko out at second. The Vikings, their first base runner at first base, my mistake, at third base, and is threatening for their first run of the game. So now, after further analysis, it is confirmed at Wesco Athletics that Mariner not only has forfeited both their games against Glacier Peak, they've also forfeited both their games at Monroe. So they're 0-11. Mariner now 0-13. Runner goes. Theron looking at Jaden Tull going to first and second. Throw is not in time. Throw it home to try and get Hunter as he tries to leap over the catcher. But the catcher, Josh Murphy, gets Zalasko out. As the Vikings, it'll be a 1-6-2 to end the inning. The Vikings will not get their first run on the board in the top of the third. No runs on one hit. No errors and one runner left on. Still a 5-0 score. As Tanner Lind will look to pitch his first full inning of the game. Ben Hansen, Jackson Ramstead, and Josh Murphy in the 6, 7, and 8 hitters will face off against Tanner for the first time as they lead by 5 runs. And we are now back in the bottom of the third inning as once again Cascade bringing in their 6, 7, 8, and 8 hitters. Ben Hansen, Jackson Ramstead, and Josh Murphy, the shortstop, center fielder, and catcher. First pitch to Ben Hansen, a strike one looking as Tanner threw 4 pitches to one batter. That is Joe McBride, the 0-1. Hard hit shot. This is getting into the hole in right center field. Hansen will stay at first as Cascade gets their first hit of the afternoon. It'll be a leadoff single by the shortstop Ben Hansen. Here is the center fielder Jackson Ramstead. And Tanner, first pitch, tries bunting for it. This one goes to the pitcher, Lind. Throws to first, is in time for the first out. It'll be a sacrifice bunt for Ramstead. As Tanner just releases it in time to Corley. Now here is Josh Murphy, the catcher. It'll move Hansen to second. Josh Murphy got on base on a full count walk, was replaced by Bryson Durnell, who got a stolen base to second. Wild pitch moved him to third and was the second run to score in the inning previous for Cascade. First pitch, low, ball 1. And Tanner looking at second, the 1-0. Upstairs, ball 2. Cascade behind the bleachers. They have not only the pictures of the seniors for the team, the 2-0s. Strike one looking. They also have a pair of retired numbers. The first one being from a player that graduated in the class of 2007. And is currently now playing in the outfield for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That is Steven Souza Jr. And the second one being number 16, Michael Alcallega. The 2-1, a strike two looking count. Even at 2-2, Alcallega, who unfortunately passed away due to leukemia, and the Cascade baseball team has had an annual tradition in which every home game against the Jackson Timberwolves they would play for Michael. The 2-2 upstairs, ball three, full count. And Tanner, the payoff, fly ball, screamer. This one going into short center. Zelasco and Zelasco making a bobbling catch in short center. What a play! Zelasco is having a hard time trying to find the ball, as well as the center fielder Cameron Austin. Hunter, he found it. It bobbled in and out of his glove, and he caught it with his bare hand. It leaves Hansen at second. It's the second out of the inning, and it brings up Zaya Aklifs, who struck out looking on a 2-2 count. And Tanner, first pitch, low, ball one. So the two other games that are playing in the Westco Conference haven't even started yet, or have just started. The game between Kamiak and Mount Vernon up at Sherman Anderson Field has a 5 p.m. start time. 1-0. Slow grounder. This one going to Zelasco. Throw to first is in time for the third out of the third inning. No runs on one hit, no errors, and one runner left on. Count, my mistake, the score stays 5-0. Highlighted by a bobbling play by Hunter Zelasco. Jaden Talt back on the mound in the fourth. They'll face off against Trey Long, Aaron Lampinen, and Tate Bruss as the Vikings try to get a run on the board to cut this 5-0 deficit. And we are now back in the top of the fourth inning. Cascade still with a 5-0 lead. Jaden Taldy has thrown 52 pitches in 4 innings. They'll face off against Trey Long. The at-bat in the last inning started with Jaden trying to get Theron between first and second. Saw Hunter Zelasco between third and home. He tossed it to the shortstop, Ben Hansen, who immediately fired a laser to the catcher, Josh Murphy, to get Zelasco out. First pitch, a strike one looking as Talt will face off against the middle of the order. Trey Long, Aaron Lampinen, and Tate Brust. And Talt, the windup in the 0-1, and a ball inside in the dirt. Count is even at 1-1. And the windup 1-1. And outside, ball 2. Trey is currently 0 for 1, hitting a fielder's choice. I got Hunter Zelasco out at second to end the top of the second inning. Almost a botched play by the shortstop, Ben Hansen, who was able to toss it to the second baseman, Jacob Sesso. 2 balls and 1 strike. Wind up the pitch. Upstairs, ball 3. Three balls and 1 strike. Wind up. Strike 2 looking. Count is full. Trey looking ready to toss the bat towards the Lake Stevens dugout. Thinking it was a ball 4. Once again, Jaden Talt sitting at 4 strikeouts. Count is full at 3-2. The windup, the pitch. Outside, ball 4. Lake Stevens get the leadoff walk. Brings up Aaron Lampinen. Struck out looking on a full count in the top of the second inning. And also Josh White bringing in a pinch hitter here in the top of the fourth. In this case, it'll be Caden Pattison. And the first pitch, ground ball, past the glove of the third baseman, Brock Gillis. And it'll be a base hit for Aaron Lampinen that moves Trey to second. With nobody out, brings up Caden Pattison, the pinch hitter for Tate Brust.
How about for Lake Stevens, number 8, Caden Pattison.
And Pattison currently with a 100 batting average, 2 for 20. He has scored 3 runs. He's been walked once and has struck out 4 times. He's been off and on in the Lake Stevens lineup. In this case, he's been off. He is on as a pinch hitter. Talt, first pitch, tries bunting for it outside, ball 1. Lake Stevens threatening early. McBride is in the infield grass right in front of the bag, ready to field the bunt. As Talt throws to the left-hander, Pattison, ball 2 outside.
Beautiful eyes you have, kid. Let's go. Oh! Come on, kid.
And Talt behind on the count, getting the sign from Josh Murphy. Looks over at Trey at second, 2-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And Caden Pattison getting the news last week that he has been signed by the Maine Nordiques of the North American Hockey League, as he will be starting play after he graduates high school in a couple of months. 2-1, tries bunting for it. That is a ball 3. Count is now 3-1. As for Pattison, in these past few years, he's always wanted to try out for the baseball team, but because the hockey team that he was playing for, the junior Silvertips, because they were so deep in the playoffs, when tryouts would be going on, he never had a chance. This year, unfortunately for the junior Silvertips, the playoffs for them ended early, and it gave Kane a chance to try out. 3-1, tries bunting. That is a full count. Throw to second is off. Throw to third. Is it in time? No. Ball gets away from Trey. Goes to the dugout. Trey is going to score. And the Vikings get on the board for the first time in this game. Trey will go to third on a stolen base, and it'll be on an error. By Cascade, that will bring in the first run of the game. And Lampinen, on that error, will go to second. So the Vikings now trail by 4. Count is now full at 3-2. Another full count for Jaden Talt. The payoff pitch. Low, ball 4. Vikings once again have runners on first and second base. Now here is Ethan Jansen, struck out looking in the top of the second. Timeout by Cascade. Josh Murphy and David Benson, the manager, along with the shortstop Ben Hansen and the third baseman Brock Gillis, walking up to the mound to talk to Talt. As for the first time in this series, the Vikings offense are getting into Cascade pitching. They got to Brock Gillis a little bit, getting that run in the 6th, but that was all that they could get. And now, comparing to today's outing against Jaden Talt, and at least they got a hit off of Talt here, and then they got a run. It is the second error for the Cascade Bruins. There's still nobody out in the top of the 4th, as Ethan Jansen comes up to the plate. Struck out looking on a 2-2 count in the top of the 2nd for the second out. And Talt, first pitch, tries bunting. This will go down the third baseline. Picked up by Gillis. Throw to first. It is in time for the first out. And a great bunt by Ethan Jansen, as it'll be a 5-4. Joe McBride moving out of the way, and the second baseman Brody Larson getting that one. It'll move Pattison to second, and it'll move Lampinen to third. Here is Bailey Corley, who grounded out to the shortstop Ben Hansen to end the top of the 2nd, and he has a chance to knock in a couple of runs. And the first pitch, tries bunting, strike one.
Go Bailey, I'm back. We're not getting
As Bailey, with runners on second and third, tried bunting for it.
Come Bailey, Bailey. Go 3-4. You got it now, you got it.
And Talt the 0-1. And outside count is even at 1-1. So the run will be unearned towards Talt. It is the second run that he has allowed this year.
Let's go now, kid.
1-1. Talt, the Corley. Strike two looking.
Come on. Let's go, Bailey. Rip it, kid. Let's go. Go, Bailey. Come on, kid. Go, Bailey.
And Talt, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Getting the sign from Murphy. 1-2. Chopper into the glove of Talt, who tosses it to first. It is in time. And Patterson straying too far away from second and will stay at second base. A nice snag by the pitcher Talt to prevent any more runs from scoring. And now bring up Tommy Lindgren. He grounded out to the second baseman Brody Larson for the first out in the top of the third inning. Now Tommy with a chance to knock in a couple. And Talt first pitch, hard hit ball, that is foul. Count starts at 0-1, goes past the first base line. Aaron Lampinen at third, Caden Pattison at second. The 0-1. Ground ball, Chopper, going to the shortstop, Hansen. Throws it to first, it is in time for the third out. And that will end the top of the fourth. The Vikings get a run on the board. It is 1 run on 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. The score is now Cascade 5, Lake Stevens 1, as Tanner Lynn goes back to the mound in the bottom of the fourth. He'll face off against the top 3 hitters for the first time in Jaden Talt, Brody Larson, and Jacob Sesso, as Cascade now leads by 4. And we are now back in the bottom of the fourth inning. Lake Stevens trimming Cascade's lead to now 5-1, as Tanner Lynn now throwing 15 pitches through an inning and a third. This afternoon, he'll face off against the top of the order for the first time against Jaden Talt, Brody Larson, and Jacob Sesso. Talt 0-1 with a fly ball to Tanner at left, and was walked in the second inning on 4 pitches and was taken over by Brady Brown. First pitch, fly ball that is playable. Going into short left center, Hunter's Alasko calling for it, and he will make the catch for the first out in the bottom of the fourth. Now here's Brody Larson, the left fielder. So now for Cascade, and Jaden Taldi has thrown 72 pitches, allowing an unearned run through 4 innings. Larson, no official at-bat. He's got on base twice on errors, 2 errors. The first one by Hunter's Alaska, the second one by Theron Perkins, as that one got under his glove. First pitch, and a strike one looking. The Vikings will also be starting off with the first 3 hitters in the order, starting with Channer, the 0-1. Fly ball, that is foul. Count now 0-2. And the 0-2, a line shot straight to the third baseman, Theron Perkins. That's the second out. And now we'll bring up Jacob Sesso, who also has no official at-bat entering the 4th inning. Got walked in the first, got on base on a error by the second baseman Ethan Jansen as he dropped a pop fly. And he would later score, move from second on a stolen base. First pitch, low, ball 1. He would later go to second on a stolen base, go to third on an error by the catcher Tommy Lindgren as he tried throwing him out at second, the 1-0. Low, ball 2, and then he stole home as Tanner, literally before he threw the first pitch, was looking at second towards Brock Gillis, who's between the first and second base pass. So 2-0. Strike one looking. And the 2-1. Inside ball 3. And a fly ball. This one going in the right field. Trey Long right near the line. Looking for it. Makes the catch. That will end the 4th inning. A 1-2-3 inning for Tanner Lynn. No runs, no hits, no errors. And nobody left on. The score is still 5-1 Cascade over the Lake Stevens Vikings. Jaden Talt once again, he has thrown 72 pitches through 4 innings of play. He'll face off against Tanner Lynn, Hunter Zelasco, and Theron Perkins, the first 3 hitters, as the Vikings, they currently trail by 4. And we are now back at the top of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens trailing Cascade 5-1. The Vikings, they are chipping away at the starting pitcher, Jaden Talt, as he go to the top of the order for the 3rd time around. And Tanner Lynn, first pitch, strike 1 looking. As they'll face off against the top 3 hitters, 0-1. Foul ball, count is 0-2. As they'll face off against the top 3 hitters in the batting order, Tanner Lynn, the pitcher, the shortstop, Hunter Zelasco, and the 3rd baseman, Theron Perkins. And the 0-2 by Talt. Check swing, did he go? Nope, ball 1. As the ball is outside. And the Vikings, they got a run in the top of the 4th off of a error by Cascade, the 1-2. Slow grounder. This one fielded by Brock Gillis. He bobbles the baseball. Throw to first from Ben Hansen is way offline to the first baseman, Joe McBride, as he tried picking it up. And Lake Stevens gets on base. Another error by the Cascade Bruins. That is their 2nd on the afternoon. And now bring up Hunter Zelasco. As a slow roller, Brock Gillis a little too late to get in position to field and throw the baseball. And so it gets off of his glove and rolls near the 3rd base bag. First pitch, tries bunting for it. Strike 1 looking. Zelasco 1 for 2 with a base hit and got on base on a fielder's choice. He has got on base on both plate appearances today, and he was out for the final out in the 3rd at a play at home plate. And the throw to first is not in time as Joe McBride drops the baseball. So the next games for both of these teams, for the Lake Stevens Vikings, will be playing their 2nd straight road game up north at Sherman Anderson Field against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, the 0-1. Inside ball 1, count is even. While for the Cascade Bruins, they'll be playing against the Monroe Bearcats in a battle of 2 teams who are both in position to go to the West King playoffs, and both are in a position fighting with Jackson alongside that to get the top 2 seeds for West King, get a 1st round bye, the 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Well, for Lake Stevens, they are currently fighting for a playoff spot, as they are currently one of the 3 teams that are out of the running. 1-2. A foul grounder towards the 3rd base coach for Lake Stevens, Jan Novak. Count stays at 1-2.
Let's go, Hunter, up a shot, kid. Base knock, you go.
And Talt getting the sign from Murphy. Looks over at Tanner at first, the 1-2. Low, count is even, ball 2. So the standings currently. So currently Cascade has the number 1 seed, the sole possession. But if they win, they'll keep it. If they lose, they will be tied with Monroe. And they'll make a very interesting series coming next week when the Bruins will face off against Monroe. I remember last year's series was very crucial as well. Monroe finishing off the week 6 wins and 2 losses in conference play and a 10-win season. They are 10-4. Jackson currently at 4-2 with an 8-4 record. Mount Vernon a 4-3, 7-6 record. Same record as Lake Stevens. A 2-2 pitch. Hunter getting a piece of it as the ball hit the backstop. As an assistant coach for Cascade and the on-deck hitter Theron Perkins having fun with picking up the baseball. Mount Vernon 4-3 in conference play, currently with the number 4 seed, and 6-7. And Kamiak currently with the final seed. They are currently playing against Mount Vernon with 3-4, 4-9 record. The 2-2, a chopper goes to McBride, off of the glove of McBride, tosses it to the pitcher, Jaden Talt. Throw to second is not in time to get Tanner. As the first baseman, Joe McBride, bobbles it, was able to pick it up barehanded and toss it to the pitcher, Jaden Talt. And now Josh White's talking to the infield umpire. He's saying if the pitcher, Talt, was off of the bag, as Alaska is currently standing on the first base bag. They are currently talking about it. If it will result as the first out of the 5th inning, or as the Vikings will have a runner on first and second, and it will be an out. It'll move Tanner to second. Here's Theron Perkins, the third baseman. Struck out swinging in the first, got a base hit in the 3rd inning. I don't think it was whether he was on the bag. It was whether if he had possession of the ball in the glove when he had it. And Talt, first pitch, outside, ball 1. Jaden Talt now at 84 pitches through 4 1/3. And looking at Terrence, second to 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Count is 1-1. Fly ball, foul. Count now to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now, if you think about it, actually, so far for the Cascade Bruins, the only time that the ball's ever really been in the outfield was for base hits. So there are no fly balls to any of the outfielders. Larson, Ramstead, or Ackles. And the 1-2 low. Count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jaden Talt now at 87 pitches. Timeout by Theron. As this may be Talt's final inning for the Bruins. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Strikes out Theron again for the second out. And here is Trey Long. Fielder's choice in the first inning. It was walked with a full count to start the 4th. And is the only run for Lake Stevens. And Talt, first pitch in the dirt, ball 1. And Talt, 1-0. Looks over at Tanner at second. The pitch. Swung on. Foul ball. Count is even. And that's strikeout number 5 for Jaden Talt, as he has now reached 90 pitches. Timeout by Cascade. Murphy walking halfway to the mound, as Cascade now has someone in the bullpen, as they also noticed a pitch count as well. And there's a possibility that the Bruins might bring in a new pitcher in the top of the 6th inning. And Talt The 1-1. Hard hit ball. This one going in the right. Back goes Ackles. Ackles going back. That will go foul. A well hit ball. Count is 1-2. And Tanner Lind staying at second. And Talt stepping off. Lake Stevens with another runner in scoring position. As Talt has 91. Here is 92, the 1-2. In the dirt, does that hit Trey? And that'll be a ball, 2-2. That ball looked like it almost hit Trey on the foot. And it will stay at home plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. Upstairs, full count. And Talt with yet another full count against the Lake Stevens hitter. And it's the second consecutive time against Trey. Payoff. And a foul tip, or a foul ball, with Trey getting a piece of it. Oh, hold on. 94. Now Jaden Talt sitting at 94 pitches. Count stays full at 3-2. And here is 95. And that is a strike 3 called as Trace is struck out by Jaden Talt. Strikeout number 6. That was a little upstairs there. And that'll possibly be it for Talt. He has thrown 95 pitches through 5 innings. It is no runs on no hits, no errors, or my mistake, 1 error and 1 runner left on. Still 5-1. As Tanner Lind will walk back to the mound in the bottom of the 5th inning. As it'll be the middle of the order in Brock Gillis, Joe McBride, and Ben Hansen as the Bruins look to extend their 5-1 lead. And we are now back in the bottom of the 5th inning. Cascade still leads by the score of 5-1. Tanner Lind has thrown 24 pitches through 2 1/3 innings, including 9 in the 4th inning alone. He'll face off against the cleanup hitter, Brock Gillis. Cascade getting 5 runs on only 1 hit. Lake Stevens 1 run on 3 hits. First pitch by Tanner. Strike 1 looking. And Tanner the 0-1. Outside ball 1. Tanner will face off in the middle of the order. Brock Gillis, Joe McBride, and Ben Hansen. The 1-1. Inside ball 2. And the 2-1 fly ball evens the count at 2-2. And the 2-2 by Tanner, outside full count. Tanner throwing Brock a curveball there. Makes the count full. The second consecutive at-bat for Brock Gillis where the count is full. Payoff pitch upstairs, ball 4. That'll bring up Joe McBride, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. It's also the only strikeout victim for Tanner Lind. And Tanner, first pitch, tries bunting for it. Strike one looking. And McBride, not a good reaction after getting the strike call. And Tanner, the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike two. Tanner, no balls and 2 strikes. Runner at first. Strike 3 called. And Joe McBride gets struck out for a 3rd time. 2nd time against Tanner. This time on 3 pitches instead of 4. Here is Ben Hansen, who got the only base hit for the Bruins and the only hit off of Tanner. To start off the bottom of the 3rd, he was stranded at second after he was able to go there on a sacrifice bunt by Jackson Ramstead. Brock currently 2 for 2 on stolen bases. The pitch. First pitch, ball 1. Brock Gillis at first, inside, ball 2. Ben Hansen got hit in the 2nd inning on a 2-2 count and later scored, ball 3. He got a stolen base, brought him to 2nd. It was his 4th of the year. A wild pitch moved him to 3rd, and another wild pitch brought him home for the first run for the Bruins and is the only earned run for Tate Brust, the 3-0. Fastball right down the middle, strike 1 looking. And in the 3rd inning, he got a base hit, a leadoff single, and is the only base hit for the Cascade Bruins. As they have been fueled off of 4 Viking errors, 3-1. Runner goes, foul ball, as Gillis was looking to go to 2nd. Count is full at 3-2. And Hansen, after getting the single in the 3rd, a sacrifice bunt by Jackson Ramstead, who's currently on deck for Cascade, moved him to 2nd. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to go anywhere else other after that with a fly ball, a juggling catch by the shortstop Hunter Zalasko, who made a very similar play last year in a ground ball to Zalasko by Zaya Aklas. And the fly out by Murphy, throw to first is not in time. So for the Lake Stevens Vikings, the next series against the Cascade, my mistake, the next series against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs will be against a team who is also 7-6. Throw to first, does he get him in time? No! Brock Gillis just getting back to first in time. Count stays full at 3-2. Count stays full, payoff pitch. Fly ball, that one is going in the right field. Trey Long under it, makes the catch for the 2nd out. Now bring up Jackson Ramstead, the center fielder, 0 for 1 with a sacrifice bunt and a fly ball to Trey.
For the Bruins, the center fielder, number 17, Jackson Ramstead.
As there are now 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. And the first pitch, outside, ball 1, Tommy looking at first. Ramstead, he is 0 for 1 with a fly ball to the right fielder, Trey Long, for the first out of the 2nd inning. During a point in that inning where everything looked solid until Tate was throwing a couple of wild pitches. Next pitch, curveball upstairs, ball 2. And then 2 wild pitches and 3 errors later. It was a whole nother story as Cascade got all over Lake Stevens in the second inning. 2 balls, no strikes. The wind up in the pitch. Foul ball, 2-1. And the throw to first is not in time. Two balls on 1 strike, lefty on lefty. The 2-1. And a ball 3 upstairs. As Tanner's behind on the count, 3-1. Ball 4. And that will bring runners on first and second. 2 walks for Tanner in the 5th. On a number of close calls. Now here is Josh Murphy. A walk in the second inning brought him the first. He was replaced by Bryson Durnell, who later scored. And then he was out in a fly ball in short center field by Hunter Zelasco. First pitch by Tanner, fly ball, that's playable. This one going into left field, Caden Pattison. He is under it, and he will make the catch to end the bottom of the 5th. No runs, no hits, no errors, 2 runners left on. Still a 5-1 game. The Vikings, they need to get after Cascade and fast. The Vikings will be looking at a new pitcher for the Bruins. That'll be number 15, Zach Block. In the top of the 6th, he'll face off against Aaron Lampinen, Caden Pattison, and Ethan Jansen. Score is still 5-1 Cascade as Block looks to preserve that 4-run lead. And we are now back in the top of the 6th inning. Cascade leads Lake Stevens by a score of 5-1. The Bruins bringing in a new pitcher in number 15, Zach Block. First pitch upstairs, ball 1 to Aaron Lampinen, the designated hitter. Jaden Talt is done for the afternoon. 5 innings, 95 pitches, 3 hits, an unearned run, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts on a wild pitch. Currently online for the win, the 1-0. A ball 2 outside, Zach Block. Currently pitching in his 7th game of the year. He has 1 win and no loss, an ERA of 0.54 in 13 innings. He has allowed 4 hits and earned run. He has walked 12 batters and struck out 20. The 2-0, strike 1 looking. Also coming back in, Tate Brust. Once again, back in the lineup after Caden Pattison pinch hit for him. The 2-1 fly ball. That one, playable. Joe McBride is under it and will make the catch for the first out on the 6th inning. As Jaden Talt will also play in center field. And Jackson Ramstead moves to right. There's a number of defensive changes for Cascade here in the 6th inning. Tate Brust, he was hit in the 2nd inning. It was taken over by Devin McWaters, who moved to second base on an error by the pitcher Jaden Talt. And block the first pitch. Ground ball. This one going to the second baseman Jacob Sesso. Backhanded snag, a 1-hopper into the glove of Joe McBride for the 2nd out. And that'll bring up Ethan Jansen, the second baseman. 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a sacrifice bunt in the 4th inning. And block first pitch. Outside, ball 1. And the 1-0. Low, ball 2. Jaden Talt now at center, Jackson Ramstead at right, and Zaya Aklis is at left field. 2-0 pitch outside, ball 3. And the 3-0. Low, ball 4. And it'll be a 4-pitch walk for Ethan Jansen. Bailey Corley comes back to the plate. He is 0 for 1 with a couple of ground outs. Ground out to the shortstop, Ben Hansen, in the second inning, and a ground out to the pitcher at the time, Jaden Talt, in the 4th inning to prevent any runs from scoring. And block the first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. One key factor to note when this guy's on the mound, not only does he have an ERA under 1 of 0.54, and he has 20 strikeouts, but he also has 12 walks. Make that 13 walks now this year. The 1-0. Check swing, ball 2.
Come on, Bailey.
And block the 2-0. Hard hit shot. This will go fall fair. Jansen's going to go to third. It falls into right field. The throw to third base. Cut off by the shortstop, who looks over at first. Nobody is at the first base bag, and Bailey Corley gets a 2-out single. Runners are on the corners for Tommy Lindgren, who also enters his at-bat with a pair of groundouts. First one in the 3rd inning to the second baseman Jacob Sesso, and the second one back in the 4th to the shortstop Ben Hansen on a running play, on a running throw by Hansen to end the 4th inning with runners on 2nd and 3rd. Here with runners on the corners, Ethan Jansen at 3rd and Bailey Corley at 1st. Lake Stevens, they trail by 4. And block. Tries bunting. Strike 1. And the next pitch, ball 1, in the dirt. Count is even 1-1. Block. Outside, ball 2. And a timeout as Bailey Corley will be taken out with a pinch runner, as it'll be Devin McWaters. As Josh White decides to take Bailey Corley out. Count is 2-1. Block. And the 2-1, a strike 2 looking. And block the 2-2, ground ball to the second baseman, Sesso, who throws to first and is in time to end the top of the 6th. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on as we go into the top of the 6th. As Tanner Lynn looks to pitch in the bottom of the 6th, it'll be the 9-1 and 2 hitters Zaya Aklis, Jaden Talt, and Brody Larson in the bottom of the 6th, as Cascade still has a 5-1 lead. And we are now back to the bottom of the 6th inning. Cascade still with a 5-1 lead. The Vikings bring in their 3rd pitcher of the afternoon in number 6, Theron Perkins. They still face off against the number 9 hitter Zaya Aklis, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a groundout first pitch. Strike 1 looking. Tanner finishing his outing, 3 1/3 innings, 45 pitches, allowing 1 hit, no earned runs, and no runs total, walking 2 batters and striking out 2 batters. For Theron Perkins, he is pitching in his 6th game. He is 0-2 with an ERA of 2.31. 0-1 count from Theron to Zaya Ackles. Wind up. Ground ball. This one going to Zelasco. Throw to Bailey Corley at first is in time for the first out. That'll bring us to the top of the order for the 4th time around in Jaden Talt. 0 for 2 with a pair of flyouts and a walk in the 2nd inning. And is currently online for the win here at Cascade High School. So now playing at 3rd base will be Tate Brust for the first time this year. And Tanner Lind will go back to play at left field. So Theron 12 in the 3rd innings, allowing 14 hits. First pitch, a strike 1 looking. Allowing 4 earned runs. Walking 8 batters, striking out 11. And the 0-1. Outside, count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. And Theron the 1-1. Fly ball foul over the Cascade dugout, count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the 1-2 in the dirt, count is even at 2-2. Theron is also coming off pitching in yesterday's game as well. This one a ground ball to the 2nd baseman Ethan Jansen. Throw to first is in time as Bailey Corley just touches the first base bag for the 2nd out. Now we go to Brody Larson. 0 for 1 with a pair of errors, a stolen base, a run, and then lined out to the 3rd baseman Theron Perkins, who is now on the mound for the Vikings. Or my mistake, it is now a pinch hitter. It is Zach Block. First pitch, a ground ball to Zelasco. Bad hop to Zelasco. And that'll be error number 5 for the Lake Stevens Vikings. It was a bad hop to the shortstop, Hunter Zelasco, and it brings in a base runner. And Zach Block will go back to the dugout as pinch running for Zach will be Brady Brown. Now here is Jacob Sesso, who is also 0 for 1. A walk, an error, 2 stolen bases, a run, and a fly ball to the right fielder, Trey Long. And Theron, first pitch, low, ball 1. And the 1-0. Ground ball, a screamer. This one going to Zelasco. Tosses it to Ethan Jansen for a force out to get Brady Brown. And that will end the bottom of the 6th. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on. Cascade, they're 3 outs away from sweeping the Lake Stevens Vikings for the first time since the Wesco 4A Conferences was formed in 2015, as they have split in the past 4 occasions. Zach Block on the mound will face off against the top 3 hitters, Tanner Lind, Hunter Zelasco, and Theron Perkins. The score, Cascade 5, Lake Stevens 1, as the Vikings try to do some work. We are now back in the top of the 7th inning. Lake Stevens, they need 4 runs to tie and 5 to take the lead. They trail 5-1. Zach Block looking to shut them down here at Cascade High School and sweep the Vikings for the first time since the Wesco 4A Conference was formed back in 2015. The Vikings will start off with their leadoff hitter as they'll go to the top of the lineup for the 4th time around, Tanner Lind, who is 0 for 1, strikeout, a walk, and got on base on an error. First pitch, a foul ball. And the 0-1 pitch, curveball outside, ball 1. Zach Block throwing 9 balls for 7 strikes in 16 pitches in that 6th inning. And the 1-1 upstairs, ball 2. And blocked the windup, the pitch. Chopper, this one going to the second baseman, Sesso, throws it to McBride for the first out. Now bring up Hunter Zalasko, the shortstop, currently 1 for 3 with a base hit in the 1st inning. Fielder's choice in the 3rd. And a very questionable play in the 5th inning where he got out in a 3-1 ground ball. And Zach blocked the windup in the first pitch. And a ball 1 inside. And the 1-0. Strike 1 looking. Count is even. So in the next game for both of these teams, the Vikings playing against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, while for the Cascade Bruins, will face off against the Monroe Bearcats, the 1-1. Hard hit shot. This one going in the center field. Jaden Talt is there and will make the catch. And for the first ball of the first fly out for the Lake Stevens Vikings in this game in the 7th inning. And it brings up Theron Perkins, 1 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts and a base hit. And the Vikings 1 run on 3 hits. Cascade still staying with 5 runs on 1 hit, as the Vikings also have 5 errors as well to their name, a huge contributor. The first pitch, a chopper. The shortstop, Ben Hansen, throw to first is in time, and the Lake Stevens Vikings have been swept by the Cascade Bruins and now have a 500 overall record of 7-7. The final score is Cascade 5, Lake Stevens 1 here at Cascade High School. The winning pitcher is Jaden Telt, bringing him to an undefeated record of 2-0. And the losing pitcher is Tate Brust, a 500 record of 1-1. The Vikings go down to a 500 overall record of 7-7 and a 2-6 conference record, while the Cascade Bruins, alongside the Monroe Bearcats, they have a 10-4 overall record and a 7-1 conference record. It makes for a really good series next week between the Bruins and the Monroe Bearcats, but right now the Vikings, if they ever want a playoff spot, they need to rebuild starting next week against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. They are currently playing against the Kamiak Knights as the game is still ongoing. Again, the winning pitcher, Jaden Talt. The losing pitcher is Tate Brust. The final score, Lake Stevens 1, Cascade 5 here from Cascade High School at 6:14 p.m. My name is Payne Patchett. You have been listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball.